You see this here video game, Callisto Protocol, one of the most anticipated games coming out this holiday season. It's multi-platform. I don't know if it's going to outsell God of War, but it certainly, because it's going to be everywhere, has a good shot. Certainly probably not Elden Ring, but it looks amazing every time we've seen it. It sounds great. The animation is great. The gore is great. The combat looks really fun and satisfying. Everything I've read about and seen these guys talk about, this is a lot of this footage from last week at Gamescom, it makes this sound like a real just blockbuster mentality of a game, a great straight up commercial, almost like old school game in a lot of ways. It's being made by Striking Distance, led by Glenn Sheffield, or Schofield, sorry, Glenn Sheffield, different guy. Glenn Schofield, who did a lot of the work on the Call of Duty games, did Dead Space. This is his new company. And he tweets this out earlier today. You may have seen this. Let me find it for you. He's already deleted it. Tweet's already gone because, and guess why? Here you go. He says, I only talk about the game during an event. We're working 6 to 7 days a week. Nobody's forcing us. Well, okay, you do run the company, Glenn. That one's a little whatever. Exhaustion, tired, COVID, but we're working. Bugs, glitches, performance fixes, one last pass through audio, 12 to 15 hour days. This is gaming. Hard work, lunch, dinner, working. You do it because you love it. Okay, well, this has obviously kicked up the hornet's nest, and all I want to do is say thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Striking Distance team. I've been there. A lot of us in games have been there. It sucks, man. It absolutely sucks. But you know what? You're making greatness, and that's what it takes. I'm so fucking tired, you guys. I'm so fucking tired of these people who act as if they know better, who have never really worked on a big fucking hit blockbuster game in their goddamn cockadoodie lives. Okay? The only time I've ever heard crunch for a AAA game be something that you don't have to deal with is when the team is making two things. The IP has already been established, so you're not having to put in that work, which is its own work, and they're building off a template of games they've made before, right? So if you've made, let's take MLB. It doesn't mean the MLB guys don't crunch, but they don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? And they've been down the road. But there's a brand new IP. It's a startup team. They've worked together, a lot of them, but it's a new team, and it is a new game. Granted, it looks like it's being built on the education they've gained through the Dead Space series, but it's a new game. And I say thank you, Striking Distance, because I'm excited for this game. A lot of people are excited for this game, and I can't anymore with these fuckers. I gotta say something. Look this guy. Now this is a guy, I just want to make it clear. This guy says it's you, genius. You're forcing people, talking to Glenn, saying that because he's the head, he's the one who's forcing people, right? And I'm like, well, who is this guy? So I look at him and it's like, okay, programmer, engineer on Call of Duty. Okay, well, let's take Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a game that they pretty much know what it is. There's variants, but they know what it is. They've been making it for a long time. More importantly, Striking Distance, depending on what you look at, it's between five. It falls into the category on places like Glassdoor, 51 to 200 employees working on it. I don't know the exact number, but that's a big stretch. Call of Duty, more than 3,000 people are working on it. Now, this guy, Chris Bookwriter Pollock, could say, well, that's a management problem. Get 3,000 people working on it. But it's like, you know what? You only have that because you're working on Call of Duty and because you've got the legacy that has been built by people who did crunch like motherfuckers on the first Call of Duties and before that Medal of Honor. These guys are trying to make something new. They're trying to make a mark. They're trying to put something out there in the world that is special and unique and builds brand new IP. And, that's what it takes. That's what it took on God of War. That's what it took on Twisted Metal. That's what it takes on pretty much every game I've worked on, good or bad, and anything that's actually trying to achieve something new. And forget this Chris guy. At least he's made some games before. But some of these guys, there's one guy's a fucking here's what I'd like to say. All these guys, it would be great if anybody sees these guys playing this game, you call them out for being the hypocrites they are. If anybody sees these media outlets covering this game, you call them out for the hypocrites they are. Hey Glenn, says Steve Moore. I don't want to call out people who are just, you know, normies, because, you know, let me there was a check mark earlier about this one guy who was playing it, or who was criticizing Glenn Callisto, and I'm like, dude, you write for a fucking mag. Here it is, Paul Tassi. Cannot get into Callisto Protocol guy crunch discourse. Bragging about crunch makes me more skeptical about the game, not less. If that's what you think you have to do, delay at the end. Fuck you, Paul Tassi. Don't tell me when you write for video games and TV, plus he clearly writes books. He's got a new book. You don't crunch. You don't put your heart and soul and sweat and blood into something that you want to live forever, quote, forever, that you want to make great. I'm just tired of it. I hate capitalism. I hate when the man exploits the workers. I do. Okay? And if you're a worker at a company and you feel exploited, if what Glenn is saying, and every single one of those people at that company is willing to work because they're like Glenn, great. If there are people at that company that have to work, but they hate it, yes, that sucks. But maybe that's not the job for them. Maybe that's not the place for them. Okay, I get Glenn has walked this back. He's like, I was just proud of the team. It's like, you know what, though, Glenn, you're not wrong. That's what it takes. This here is what it takes to get this here. I'm so fucking sick of it. And let me tell you something. You know, me and John Garvin, my God, I'm always bad on his last name. You know, we're kind of short fuse guys sometimes, and apparently, you know, he and I both, I don't know if I didn't have a trouble with millennials and younger gen, but he was saying it's like, it's a very different work ethic. Okay, well, maybe that's because he's a short-tempered guy like I am sometimes. I heard from one of the best producers I've ever worked with in this industry the other day, they're like, oh my God, these millennials. And I'm like, really? I thought that was like a cliche. And they're like, no. They have these insane expectations about what their work life should be. And again, God go with them. They have every right to make those demands. But what they don't have a right to do is have an expectation that those demands are going to be met on a team that's making AAA quality shit like this. If you want to make games like that, that's cool. I love a lot of games like that that are small and quirky, and although a lot of the great ones still do crunch. But I'm just shut up, or don't shut up. But I don't want to see you playing these games. I don't want to see you covering these games. If you do, you're fucking worse. At least I'm owning it. I'm going, I've been there. I know it's hard. I know it sucks, but you do it because you love it and because you want the resume or the bonus or whatever. And if it sucks and you don't care to get the benefits of the suckage or of eating the shit sandwich, then you can leave. You know, these are highly educated people that work at these companies, that get hired at these big companies. They can find other jobs. And even if they can't, that's the company. But to assume that you're in a position to make these demands, no, you're not. Go start your own fucking company and see what it's like. See what it's like to have to compete against the Call of Duties that have 3,000 plus people working on them, and you don't have close to that. And then see what it feels like to take advice or talking down to from people who it's kind of like, it's the equivalent of like living in a fucking beautiful heated mansion. And you're like, why are these people sleeping on the streets with newspapers on them? That looks so ugly. This is what it takes to get to the top of the mountain in most cases, in any industry. So shut up or don't play it. Then I'll respect you. But right now, go make a hit game, then come back and talk to me. Otherwise, just shut up. That's what I would fucking say. Just shut the fuck up.